Hello, everyone, and good evening. Thank you for joining our 2021 Bizfit Virtual Expo. This is going to be a great main event. We have some keynote speakers, but first, let's hear from our City of Miramar's Commissioner Alexandra P. Davis.
Thank you so much, Tara, for that introduction. And I just want to welcome everyone to our Bizfit virtual tour here. And we hope that you're having a great experience here virtually. Normally, we would take this event on the road, but obviously, because of the pandemic, we're actually able to reach more people this way. And so, once again, thank you to our staff from Economic Development, the awesome job that they've done in putting this together for you. And this is just the first of a three-part series. And we hope to see you at the first Tuesday of July and the first Tuesday of August, as well as we continue giving you all this very pertinent information to help have your business not only survive COVID, but thrive through COVID. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Without further ado, let me introduce our keynote speaker. Her name is Althea Harris, and you don't want to miss this workshop. She comes to us from the United States Small Business Administration. Althea A. Harris has been helping businesses for over 28 years when she started her federal career in 1993 at the U.S. Department of Commerce under the late Secretary Ronald H. Brown. There, she traveled worldwide in support of small and medium-sized exporters. Then she helped small business owners compete for federal contracts while at the U.S. General Services Administration. Having held several positions within the SBA office in Miami since 1999, Althea now leads as acting district director, overseeing a staff that serves the district's 24 county territory and advocates on behalf of an estimated of 1.2 million small business owners. She is also the Faith and Community-Based Initiative Coordinator. As a graduate of Howard University and the University of Miami School of Law, Althea is also active in her community, currently serving as a board member for the Miami Youth for Christ and as the vice chairman of the Board of Trustees at the Christ Journey Church in Coral Gables. She has also shared her time and talents with the Girl Scouts Council of Tropical Florida, serving as a board leader and a troop leader, and as a member of the Florida's Bar Grievance Committee, ensuring the responsible, ethical, and professional conduct of South Florida's attorneys. A Washington, D.C. native, Althea shares her life and love with her husband, Robin N. Harris, a successful commercial litigation and labor and employment litigation attorney in Miami, and their 4 wonderful children. Without further ado, please welcome Althea Harris of the Small Business Administration. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that great introduction, Tara. And I want to commend you, Commissioner Davis, for your innovation, for your forward thinking to put together this BizFit in this forum so that we can make lemonade, though COVID tried to toss us lemons. Hi, Sandy. I see you, friend. It's good to see you. So I'm delighted to be with you. Things have changed a little bit with respect to COVID, resources available through the SBA, and I want to take you through that if I may, just to bring you up to date. As you can see, this presentation was updated late last month. And what I want to talk to you about is just to give you the update on PPP. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, the Targeted EIDL Advance, very popular program that I get a lot of questions about, the Supplemental Targeted Advance, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, Debt Relief Program. There's a chart that will just kind of help you understand how those programs interact with one another, and to share some resources, connections, and links, and take your questions. And along the way, I hope I will be able to offer you some tips and insights on how you can manage through this process a little easier for yourself. So PPP, first and foremost, is over. 15 months and PPP has come to an end. The last day was the end of May on the holiday, as it turns out. However, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program is still open and will be open through the end of this year. The targeted advance is a grant of up to $10,000 for eligible businesses, but you must have applied for the EIDL last year in order to be considered for it this year. There's also a supplemental targeted advance for eligible businesses where they will potentially receive an additional $5,000 in grant funding. Again, you must have applied for an EIDL loan in order to be considered for that. The Shuttered venue operators grant applications are still being accepted. Notifications of awards have been going out. I am pleased to tell you, Mr. Sandy McDonald, that our first recipient under the Shuttered venue operators grant is a business in Broward. I don't think I'm at liberty to say who, but it is a Broward business that got the first Shuttered venue operators grant in our district in South Florida. The restaurant revitalization portal is closed and awards have been made and are continuing to be made to those hardest hit sectors of the economy, our restaurant and food providers. The SBA debt relief program ends September 30th. So we'll talk more about that. This is a nice graphic that really shows you the four major categories, the loan programs, the payment and grant programs. Again, PPP is over, but the ongoing programs remain there. So Paycheck protection, since it is closed, right, for applications, what is happening now is for those who applied in May, really those who applied in May and haven't gotten an answer yet, SBA will be processing the remainder of those Paycheck Protection Program loans through this month, and then that just closes up for good. And so we turn ourselves to forgiveness. We have simplified the forgiveness form so that PPP loans up to $150,000 are far simpler. Again, borrowers have 10 months from the time they used up all the money to apply for forgiveness. Now, one of the things that we know is that under PPP1, there are a lot of banks who have not, and financial institutions who have not yet really opened themselves to receive applications. And I know that's making borrowers very nervous that their 10 months are coming to an end. Please don't worry about that. We know that lenders are not making forgiveness an option for you, and they are part of the process. I will share with you that we are looking at options that SBA has around forgiveness and that process so that we can streamline it even more, simplify it even more, not only for borrowers, but for the lenders. And so you may be in a situation where a lender is hoping that we are going to come out with a process that does not include them so they won't have to spend the time, the effort to do that forgiveness. So just keep watching and listening out for updates on the forgiveness program. Just by way of a reminder, if your loan is not forgiven, it converts into a 1% fixed interest rate loan. It's not compounding, it's not adjustable. This is a loan that is designed to make it easy for you to pay it off. There are no prepayment fees. If you end up after the forgiveness process with, a small amount or whatever, and you want to pay it off, feel free to do that. Once you know how much of your loan has been forgiven, you will need to begin repayment. Your lender will notify you of how much your loan payments will be, how to pay it, where to pay it, when to pay it. If you don't apply for forgiveness, Your payments are going to start 10 months after the last day of your covered period. Now remember, you get to choose your covered period. And your covered period is that period during which you utilize the monies you've gotten from PPP. Again, it's a 5-year fixed rate loan if your loan was issued after June 5th of last year. 2 years if it was issued early on in the PPP process, June 5, 2020. So you can, however, if you have one of those early loans, you can ask your lender to extend you out to 5 years, okay? So there are a few good to knows, and one of them is that there was a time when we were deducting the grants, right? The EIDL grants, or also known as advances, from your PPP loan forgiveness payment. We're not doing that anymore. Anything you pay for with your PPP loan funds, you can also still deduct on your taxes. So don't forget that when you're sharing or asking your tax preparer to do your taxes, to make sure you tell them that. So the money you've gotten from PPP is not considered taxable income, and what you paid for with it is still deductible. There are expanded expenses that you can use the funds on that will also be forgiven. And again, there is a simplified process for loans $150,000 and under, which is the vast majority of the loans. Now, the economic injury disaster loan is a long-standing program of the SBA. So everything I've talked about prior to now was a creation of Congress recently, last year. But our economic injury disaster loan program has been around for decades, and it has never been this popular. In fact, our physical damage disaster loan is far more popular and far more utilized than this EIDL loan. Nevertheless, right now, the deadline is December 31st of 2021 for you to apply, or until the money runs out. Now, keep in mind, we are allowing people who got EIDL loans last year to ask for increases. So the maximum loan amount last year was $150,000, so that we could try and help as many businesses as we could. This time around, with increases, the maximum loan amount is $500,000. Not everybody gets $500,000. Not everybody gets $150,000. It really depends on your business and what you need the funds for. What's wonderful about the EIDL is it has a very large and expansive use of funds that you can, excuse me, like working capital, excuse me, and your normal operating expenses. So you can pay payroll, but don't pay payroll with your EIDL while you're using PPP funds, okay? What you want to do is you want to make sure you use up all of your PPP money, and then if you still need help with your payroll, then you can use the EIDL. But you can use EIDL for your fixed debt payments. So you cannot take the EIDL and pay off, a higher interest rate loan. What you can do, however, is you can take the EIDL and make payments on that loan. What's great about the EIDL is it is a low interest loan, 3.75% fixed for businesses, 2.75% fixed for nonprofits. Simple interest. This is not compounding. It's not like your mortgage. It's not like your student loan that never go away. This loan is designed to go away. You have 30 years to pay it off, but you don't have to wait that long because there are no prepayment penalties. There are no fees except for the $100 filing fee for the UCC filing on loans over $25,000. But if you get this loan and in 5 years you're really stabilized again and you want to write one check, you are welcome to do that. There are no penalties associated with doing paying off this loan. You do not have to pay on this loan right now. If you get a loan today, you'll have 18 months that you won't have to pay on the loan. However, the interest does accrue. You're eligible if you are a qualified small business, a co-op or agricultural enterprise with less than 500 employees, 500 or less employees. It's very, very easy to determine your size standard by SBA standards and the size standards. Over 99% of all businesses in America are small. So the chances of you being in the 17,000 businesses in America that are not small versus the 31 million businesses in America that are fairly remote, okay? Private nonprofits are also eligible. Again, the loan limit is up to 24 months. What we're trying to do with the $500,000 maximum loan amount is that we're trying to provide you with 2 years of working capital. So you can, as I mentioned, you can request an increase. You would go into the portal and request more funds. Again, loans made in 2020, your first payment is not due for 2 years from the date you signed for the money. In 2021, if you get your EIDL loan in this calendar year, you have 18 months before you must begin making payments. Now, this targeted advance, as I mentioned, this is very popular. People are very interested in this because this, unlike the EIDL or the EIDL loan, is a grant. It is not a loan. The one I just talked about is a loan. You must repay that. Now, it says there's up to $15,000 in grant funding available to eligible small businesses. In order to be considered for this grant, you must apply for the traditional EIDL loan first. You can apply for that loan and be declined and still get the grant. You can refuse to take a loan and still get this grant. But here's the thing, if right now, the people we are considering now and who have been invited to participate in this grant opportunity are people who did apply for the loan last year and got only a portion of the $10,000 that Congress had said folks should get. Now, you can also apply and not provide any additional paperwork and you will still be considered for the grant. So the grant is $10,000. And then if you have suffered greater loss, you may be eligible for additional monies, which I'll get to. Now, the Economic Aid Act set up this targeted EIDL advance. For right now, SBA is emailing. We sent out direct email invitations to those businesses and nonprofits that had applied for an EIDL last year and did or did not get the EIDL advance, or they got some portion of it. Now, in order to be eligible for this, your business or nonprofit that applied for the EIDL last year must also be in a low-income community, have suffered more than 30% economic loss, and have 300 or fewer employees. So if you meet that eligibility requirement, those eligibility requirements, then what we're going to do, if we gave you, for example, $1,000 last year, we will give you $9,000 this year in a grant to balance you out to $10,000. If we gave you $5,000 last year, you will receive $5,000 this year. Okay. Now, those folks who would potentially get $10,000 are those who applied for the EIDL but were not able to receive any money because of a lack of funding. Okay. Now, again, we are direct mailing those who may qualify, and the email includes instructions on how to determine your eligibility, how to submit the documentation, what the documentation is. Now, I do a lot of Q&A sessions. Our office sponsors Q&A sessions on Tuesdays in English and Thursdays in Spanish. And I get a lot of questions from people saying, you know, that they are in a low-income area and how come they can't get this grant. The low-income area designation is the one that is written by the IRS code. It's not just Broward County said you're in a low-income area. No, there's a specific map that determines eligibility, and then you may not have the sufficient drop in economic in revenue. So again, there are 3 eligibility criteria. If you don't meet all 3, then you can't have this advance. Okay, so now we're going to need some proof to verify your eligibility. Among them, we're going to need to see your 2019 federal tax returns, and it's helpful if you have that with you when you're applying for the EIDL or the targeted EIDL advance. We will need your employer ID number or your social that you put on your EIDL application. We need to know your monthly gross receipts for 2019, 2020, and however many completed months of 2021 when you're making your application. So right now you would have completed months through May of 2021. We will need some confirmation that the information in your original EIDL application is still accurate. You can make changes. However, that is going to slow down the process for you. But by no means should you be discouraged from making changes that need to be made. But I'm just letting you know that will add to the time needed to process your application. If you were initially eligible, you're going to be required to sign a form 4506T. That is an IRS form so that we can obtain your tax transcripts to further process your application. Now, you can only make one submission for this advance, okay? So here's your hot tip. Carefully review, I'm not just going to say banking information, everything. You're going to see a bunch of boxes. Don't just click them without reading, okay? Read them carefully. Review your bank account information. And I always jokingly say to treat your banking information like a winning lottery ticket. Make sure you look at it and repeat it. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey, Sean, can you come here? Can you come here? Hey, read that number for me. And just make sure. I cannot tell you how many people have missed out because their banking information was wrong. And it's very challenging to correct that information because the moment your banking information isn't right, we suspect you of fraud. So do yourself a favor and verify the banking information and every piece of information that you put into your application. Now, if we're not able to get your tax transcript from the IRS, we may contact you to get that documentation, like your copy of the filing, okay, or other tax documents that can establish your eligibility. If you have questions about the targeted EIDL advance, you can email us at targetedadvance@sba.gov. I forgot to mention, if you know that you applied for an EIDL loan last year and you got some portion of the $10,000, but you haven't seen the invitation, make sure you check your spam, your junk, your deleteds, your inbox. And I would recommend that you search by @sba.gov. That way you will be sure to get the emails from us and not those criminals who are phishing to get your information from you and try to apply for your advance and steal it from you. All right. Now, if you are approved, we will email you. We are emailing. So it's important that you check your email regularly. Don't be hasty on dumping your deleteds, okay? So you'll get an email letting you know, and we will deposit the money into the bank account that you provided, and that will just show up electronically. So, but be watchful for that as well. Now, if you're declined, you can request that we take another look at your application, and you can tell us why you think you should not have been declined. And you can send that email to targeted advance reevaluation@sba.gov. Now, the supplemental targeted advance, this is even more money that the Congress has made available to small businesses who are struggling during the pandemic. So in order to be eligible for the supplement, you have to have completed the targeted EIDL advance application that I just discussed in order to be considered. Okay, we will reach out directly to those people we think may qualify for the supplement. Okay, so that you can't, ask us to consider you for the supplement. So the supplement itself is $5,000, and we will pair that up with the targeted EIDL, all monies you may have gotten from the EIDL advance, the targeted EIDL advance, and the supplement will not exceed $15,000. Again, if you're approved, you'll get an email saying that, so please check your email, and for sure, check your bank account, because that will be sent to you electronic funds transfer. Again, if you think we've made a mistake and you would like us to reconsider a supplemental, the supplement for you, you can email us at targetedadvance.reevaluation@sba.gov. Again, there are criteria. We are not just handing this money out willy-nilly. So again, you have to be located in a low-income community. There is a policy mapping you can check online. You can reach it this way directly from the URL. It's also available through our website. In order to be eligible for the supplement, you have to have suffered more than 50% economic loss during an 8-week period beginning on March 2nd, 2020 or after, compared to the same time period the year before. So let's just say you're going to choose June and July 2020. You're going to compare June and July of 2020 with June and July of 2019. And if you've suffered a greater economic loss of 50% or more, and you have 10 or less employees, and your business is located in a low-income community, you may be eligible for the supplemental targeted advance. Okay, so it's a lot, but we do answer questions about this, as I've mentioned. Now, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, over $16 billion was funded in this grant opportunity for those eligible businesses that were closed or adversely affected by the pandemic, particularly last year. The maximum grant amount to any one shuttered venue operator is $10 million. It covers live venue operators or promoters, theatrical producers, live performing arts organizations and motion picture theater operators, certain relevant museum operators, zoos and aquarium that meet specific criteria, talent representatives, excuse me. Well, no, that's going to help. Excuse me. Excuse me. So a maximum of 5 businesses that are related through affiliation can meet the eligibility requirements. But you have to have been in operation by February 29th, 2020. Excuse me.
Are you okay, Althea?
Yeah, you know how sometimes you get something stuck right there in your.
Yes. I'm
and
just
it won't
checking
go
on you.
away. But it's working its way out now. Thank you. So, in order to be eligible for this grant, this one is a little bit more onerous than the other grant opportunities that exist. For one thing, you have to be registered in the federal government's excuse me, system for
If
award
you want to
management.
take a drink of water, I'll make some announcements really quickly.
Okay, fantastic.
For everyone that's on the workshop today, if you have any questions, feel free to put all your questions in the chat or below, and we will answer any questions that you have after the workshop. We really appreciate your questions. I know that you're waiting for answers, but once we continue with the workshop and at the end, we'll answer all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are almost done. And thank you for that break. I think that was just what I needed. All right. So the system for award management is the government's database of vendors and recipients of grants. So you have to be in there first. Now, it's wise to check out the frequently asked questions, frankly, for all of these programs that I've talked about. There is a preliminary checklist and eligibility requirements. We've got video tutorials. We've got a lot of information for this grant available to you if you want to be considered for it. It is still open. You can still apply for it if you'd like to. So you're going to determine your potential grant amount, and it has to be lesser of $10 million, or if you were in operation on January 1st of 2019 and you had lost 45, it's going to be based on 45% of your 2019 gross earned revenue. So you had to have been in business, because again, how you determine the grant amount under this program is dependent upon how much you made in 2019. Okay. If you began your operations after January 1st of 2019, the average monthly gross revenue for each month you were in full operation during 2019 times 6 is going to help you determine your potential grant amount. All right, so there's more to know about that. I recommend highly that you take a look at that website, sba.gov/SVO grant. Now, you can check out for your next steps. If you've already applied, you can check out the post-application FAQs, because there are things you need to know. If you're approved, you'll get an email. That's how we're doing everything. Inviting you to log on to the portal to complete the process. You have to accept the documents, sign them, and then that will finish up the approval process. Then you will be able to see the links and other information regarding your successful application. Awards are being dispersed even right now. We're trying to help the hardest hit industries and businesses first, okay? So there is a disbursement schedule based on what, priority. So the first priority, folks, are those in the first 14 days of award disbursements. And I think we're in the second week of disbursements. Those who have suffered 90% or more gross revenue loss, we're getting them grant money first. Then after that first 2 weeks or 14 days, we're going to help those businesses that suffered 70% or more revenue loss. And then the third priority group, we will start making disbursements 28 days after the first and second groups have gotten their monies. Then we will start to disperse the monies to the folks who have suffered 25% or more in their earned revenue loss, in their earned revenue. Supplemental funding will be made available if There are funds that remain. After all the priority periods have passed, we're working on additional guidance to be released in the near future. You guys, SBA has been working so hard to get all of this resources out to you. I know it seems very challenging for you as well. Trust me, it's been very challenging for us. Congress passes the legislation, we have to understand it, digest it, make it simple, create a program, create a platform, create a process in order to get this money out to you. And we're doing a great deal, but it is a lot. And there, as I mentioned, there are over 31 million small businesses in America by SBA size standards. So what the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant took quite a while to get out because of the requirement to be in SAM. So you can find out the information, as I mentioned. If you have questions about any of this, you can call the Office of Disaster Assistance. The Customer Service Center is available to you, 800-659-2955. We have people who speak multiple languages who can help you. And if you need help with anything related to your business, you can get support from our resource partners. In Broward County, we have an amazing group of resource partners. Your SCORE chapter in Broward is amazing. So is the Small Business Development Center at Florida Atlantic University, right there in downtown Fort Lauderdale. We also have the Florida Women's Business Center operating in Broward as well. All of them provide top-notch assistance at no cost to you to help you with your recovery from the pandemic. So the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, I think we only have this one and one more to go. $28.6 billion was funded by the Congress to help small businesses that we know have been hardest hit. Thankfully, here in Florida, we have had a largely open economy, so not as bad as other states that were completely shut down and some who are still just opening up. Those restaurants really did suffer, as did many of ours here in Florida. So we have had over 300,000 applications, and those requests that are valued at over $75 billion in just the first 2 weeks of opening the portal. So it's a lot of need and not as much money as to meet that need. Nevertheless, we have been sending out the restaurant revitalization funding to the food and beverage owners, businesses that are owned by women, veterans, and people of color. Those are the priority groups for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. We still have $15 billion in funding that we're looking to distribute in the coming weeks. Now, the debt relief program is available if you have a SBA-backed loan. This is what we are normally known for, the 7A, the 504, and the microloan programs that SBA, under normal circumstances, this is what I would be talking about. This is what you would be asking me about. But because of the pandemic, we talk more about our disaster loan programs. But if you have a new 7A, 504, or microloan that was approved on or after February 1st, 2020, through September 30th, 2021, SBA will make 3 months of your principal and interest payments on that loan for you, okay? The maximum monthly amount we will pay on your loan is $9,000. So if you are, in a place where you can successfully borrow from a financial institution and they seek our loan guarantee, then SBA will pay for 3 months of your principal and interest on that loan. You do not have to ask us to do anything. You don't have to apply for it. We provide that assistance on your loan automatically. We do let you know about it by sending you a letter. So if you've already gotten those loans, by now you've probably, April, yeah, your 3 months may have already, of payments may have already happened. So take a look at your loan documents, your monthly statements. If you don't see it there, contact your lender if you have questions about that. So this is just the cross eligibility chart that just shows you what you can and can't have with respect to, say, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. There were some, you had to be, you had to apply for a PPP loan if you also wanted a Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, for example. So, you know, some of those little nuances you wanted to be aware of. But we're sort of well past that point now, because the major program that caused hiccups is PPP. So you want to be mindful about how you use your PPP funds. Do not use PPP funds on the same thing at the same time that you use your EIDL loan, or if you use any of the grant money. It just confuses things and will make forgiveness challenging for you. So please don't do that. Let's see. And this is how you can reach us locally on our local website, sba.gov/South Florida. You can sign up for our newsletter, our e-blast that will let you know about programming that we have available. It's the latest news as well. Again, our resource partners, SCORE, SBDC, Women's Business Center, you can find them at sba.gov/local-assistance. We think we're pretty cool. We have a YouTube channel. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And we are on Twitter. So please check us out in those venues. And then last but not least, SBA has a really good national e-newsletter. So I encourage you to sign up for that as well at sba.gov/updates. If we don't get a chance to talk tonight about your questions, please jot down our email address. That email box is monitored every working day. And we do answer the emails that come into the mailbox. The address is South Florida, all spelled out, South Florida _ D for district, O for office at sba.gov. And that is an excellent way to reach us. So I just wanted to give you these last little links. All of our aid options are available on our website, sba.gov/relief. And then you can find the subsets, excuse me, at these other links. Thanks so much. I will drink some more water while you dig up the questions for me, Tara.
No problem. Thank you so much, Althea. And listen, guys, in layman's terms, you heard it from the horse's mouth.
Yep.
It's not a third-party information. This is directly from the Small Business Administration. They're here to help our businesses. Please take advantage. If you have any questions, put them in the chat box and we'll be sure to answer them for you. There was a question in regards to if you have to have information on the 405T form.
Yep, 4506T.
Yes, they want to know what information do you have to have on that form?
It's a fairly straightforward form. You're going to say your name, your EIN number, I believe, and what tax form you file and sign it,
Okay.
giving us permission.
And to be a little bit more specific, are there, well, to that question, what year has or years have to be written on that particular form?
Well, SBA will ask you for what we want from you. So you're going to definitely need your 2019 tax returns. You may need your 2020 returns if you filed them.
Next question, are there any exceptions to the low income area requirement? I ask because the income analyzed in our business location area were a non-factor during shutdown.
I'm sorry, the question is, are there any exceptions to the low income area designation for eligibility, right? And what was the second part? You asked because?
They asked because the income analyzed in our business location area were a non-factor during the shutdown.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what, the relevance of that second part is, because I really don't understand that, but the answer to the first part or the question is no, there are no exceptions. Congress was very clear about who they wanted to have the targeted EIDL advance, and SBA is implementing the law. So unfortunately, if you're not inside the map boundary lines that I shared, the policy map that you can see, if you don't meet the 3 criteria, you're not eligible.
It's great information out there. It's such a pleasure having you, and I'm sure people were able to get a lot of information on this particular presentation. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you all tonight on this exciting new platform. I want to congratulate you, Paul and Commissioner Davis and Ms. T. Congratulations on really making this work. And thank you for including me. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. You have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too. Bye now.
Thank you. Everyone stick around. We have a great presentation coming up from Sandy Michael McDonald of the Broward County's Office of Economic and Small Business Development. We'll be right back.